episode 87 of the podcast. This week we are talking about why learn about training? Why learn about behavior? If you're not a trainer, why learn about behavior? And if you're not a groomer, why learn about grooming? You're listening to the Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast. I'm Chrissy Newmeyer-Smith. I'm a certified professional groomer, a certified behavior consultant for canines, a certified professional dog trainer, and the owner of Happy Critters in Nashua, New Hampshire. And this, my friends and colleagues, is the podcast where grooming and training meet. Why learn about behavior? So if you're a groomer or a vet tech, why learn about behavior? Well, we learn about skin and coat types, as well as the ingredients in our shampoos and conditioner and other products. Why? So that we compare the proper ingredients and products with the skin and coat of the dog in front of us. Now, in parallel to that, when we learn about behavior, as well as the many ways that we can change behavior, we do that so that we compare the proper behavior change strategy with the behavior of the dog in front of us. Now I'm going to say those again because I really want you to think about it. We learn about skin and coat types as well as the ingredients in our shampoos and conditioners and other products so that we compare the proper ingredients and products with the skin and coat of the dog in front of us. In parallel to that, we learn about behavior as well as the many ways that we can change behavior so that we compare the proper behavior change strategy with the behavior of the dog in front of us. Now, many of us learn to groom or train with dogs who are normal. I put that in quotes, normal. So what do I mean by normal? So groomers, you probably started learning with dogs with healthy skin and coats. Or you were following instructions from somebody else and not being the one making the choices about what to use on that unhealthy skin or that damaged coat, right? You were beginning, you were just following along. But most of the dogs you were dealing with were healthy. Trainers probably started off with dogs who are friendly, safe, and eager to learn, right? So in those cases, we were often using an average all-purpose cleansing shampoo for the dogs or a nice conditioner for the dogs with good, healthy skin without really much thinking about those products and why they're working so well. And in training, it means that we were likely using the same techniques on just about every dog and getting similar results. I know that was true for me. That's where I started. That's pretty common. Before we start working on behavior problems, you had to kind of learn how to work with the baseline average dog. Okay, so to bring ourselves to the next level, we can learn more about the dogs who are not falling within the norm. Because we all get them. And it's a matter of how well we deal with them and if we can improve the situation. And improve the situation could be improve their skin and coat through proper products. It could be improve their behavior through proper training, and proper being proper for that individual. So I want you to think about bringing ourselves to the next level. That means that we're looking for more information. We need to know more about this individual dog, what deviates from the norm, what is different than the normal dog, so that we can pick the right ingredients or we can pick the right training method or the right training scenario for that dog. Sometimes we turn to other pros online and look for advice. I mean, I do. You guys do. I think we all do. Now, I gotta say, the problem with that is that we need to understand what makes this dog in front of us different before we ask for advice. I want you guys to at least have an idea of, wait a minute, this dog is not falling within the norm. What makes this dog different? So that we can gather our clues before we ask for advice. Because I'll tell you what, people will give advice without finding out more info. I've seen some crazy, crazy advice out there that was just like, oh, yep, we use this shampoo, always soothes skin. For which problem? Which problem does it solve? Right? Like something that always soothes skin, takes care of every single problem. I have not met this miracle conditioner. Like, what are you talking about, right? People will not ask questions. So you need to be more aware of what's going on with the dog in front of you. From a grooming point of view, that could be his skin is flaky, his skin is dry, or it could be he has hot spots, his skin is oily, that each of those could need to be soothed, but would require different ingredients to do it. By giving more information, the kind of advice that we get is going to be better. We'll get better advice. All right. But also with training, you need to think about what makes this dog different than the normal happy-go-lucky little Joe who's going to hang out on your table and let you do your job. Is this dog nervous before he even comes in? Is this dog wanting to hide? Is this dog lunging at you, trying to push you away? The advice for those dogs is very different. Now, we can come to some really core behavioral stuff, but again, we have the ability to find the nuances in these behaviors. That's part of why I do this podcast. I kind of want everyone to see this dog as an individual. Now, the common goal, from my point of view, from my humble point of view, is that we want a dog who is calm, comfortable, and cooperative. So if that's the goal we're working toward, we can figure out how we get that dog from point A to point B, right? Like, this dog is really, really nervous. I want to help him feel comfortable and approach me. This dog is trying to push me away. I want him to feel comfortable and let me approach him. Like, how do we get them to calm, comfortable, and cooperative? And there are many ways to do that. One of the things that I think I see a lot of on Facebook is people giving advice based on what works for them. Now, that's great. That's anecdotal advice. This has worked for me. This has worked for me consistently. I like to do it this way. But, and here's the tricky part, what goal are they working toward? Is it a don't you dare bite me goal? Or are they working toward a dog who truly is better, who truly is more relaxed, who's not scared anymore, who's hanging out and being good? Or is it the dog that doesn't dare bite them today? Because you know what? Next time, that dog may bite them. If you have an off day, if there's a dog that you have been fighting with all along and you have an off day and you get a little distracted, that bite could still happen. Right? That game's not won. And it depends on the dog, too. There are plenty of dogs that will fight you every single time. Think about those little terriers. Like, oh, I've lost this match 420 times, but I'm feeling pretty good about today. I think 421 is going to be my lucky day. I mean, they're not going to respond to arguments. They're not going to respond well to force. So each dog is an individual, and it's not about whether or not arguments or force are terrible things. It's about, are they effective for the dog and the problem that you are seeing there in front of you, that particular dog. And that's why we really need to know more about behavior, because we need to know this dog isn't giving us a hard time. This dog is having a hard time. This dog is frightened. This dog is confused. This dog is frustrated. Whatever that dog is, we need to be thinking about how we can help that dog become calm, comfortable, and cooperative. And a healthy dog can be taught to be a safe dog. So that's an important thing too. So also when we're thinking about things like our shampoos and stuff, think about there are some skin conditions that are coming from the inside that we're always just going to be kind of trying to help along with our outside products, right? The veterinarian's working on the inside of this dog and we are helping with the skin and coat from the outside. And think about behavior problems that way too, right? Sometimes it's just something internal in that dog that's not working properly. And what we have to do is just kind of modify the best we can to try to help this dog be the best dog he can be. But a healthy dog can be taught to be a safe dog. And what I mean by that is, calm, comfortable, and cooperative, right? The dog who is going to let you do the stuff you need to do. Who's not going to try to hurt you, who's not going to try to run away, who's not going to try to make you run away. That's an achievable goal with the average dog and with a healthy dog. And actually, many of the unhealthy dogs can come along really well too. But be thinking about each dog as an individual. And that's why learning more about behavior is helpful to us as groomers and to vet techs and to vets. And I know I didn't really cover you guys that much this week with this part, but I want you to think about by understanding more about this particular dog and understanding more about behavior, you're going to be able to start noticing this dog, this new dog on my table, kind of reminds me of these 5 other dogs that I've worked with over the years. right? Who responded in this particular way to these types of methods, and build a bigger collection of successes so that you can understand more about how I can help this dog even better, even faster, right? Newer techniques show up all the time. Newer products show up all the time. And that's part of why learning about the science of things like skin and coat types means that when new products show up, we can look at it with a critical eye. We can look at it and say, wait a minute, what is this claim that you say it will help with whatever? That does not match up with what I know about the biology of skin. Can you explain? Can you elaborate? Can you help me understand this? Right? So that when new training techniques come up, we can say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense compared to what I have learned in the past. Can you explain? I don't understand what you mean, right? So that we have some sort of a scientific background to fall back on, take the science that we thought we knew and build on it. Okay, build on it. A lot of new groomers haven't had to shake up what they know yet. Some of us have been in the industry for a long time, and we've had to shake up what we know. All right. I started grooming back I started doing brusher bather stuff in '86 when I started working with dogs. And I started training back then too. It was choke collars and alpha rolls and grooming. There was like this flea shampoo that we used to soothe skin. I still can't even believe we were using like a pesticide as a skin soothing. I don't know what we were thinking, but that's what we did there. And I had to shake up like, wait a minute, what? Why would that be wrong? Why would that be wrong? But I had to learn the science behind it. Like, right. This product would make more sense because what I am seeing on this individual dog. This technique would make more sense because of what I am seeing with this individual dog. And I never was absolutely this like, I will never do that again. I'm being cruel, or it's wrong, or it's terrible. I just embraced something new. And that's what I really encourage you guys to do. Embrace something new, right? Listen to what you're hearing. Double check it. Fact check me. Oh my God, fact check me. That's awesome. Like take a look and say, hey, what did she say about this? Let's take a look. What does positive reinforcement mean? Google it. Find out. We should be fact checking each other because that's part of the learning process. And I'll tell you, starting this podcast, it's been about a year and a half now, well, over a year and a half, and coming up with content for you every single week has changed me so much just by researching something new for you every single week. It's been a lot of fun. But when we learn more about behavior, I want you to think about learning about behavior is part of learning about our canvas so that we can create art on a living being. If you're enjoying this podcast, please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes, and tell all of your friends. For the non-groomers in this audience, why learn about grooming? You learn about grooming so that you know how to help a dog prepare for grooming, because most of the dogs out there are going to be groomed, either by their owners or by the vet or by a groomer. There's some part of the grooming process that just about every dog is going to need to do. But I gotta say, doodles are here to stay, and they're all the brushing of the poodle and the dog that they were bred with. So they're a whole lot of work and a lot more than most owners can handle. So moving forward, we should assume that we are talking to doodle owners when we're talking to customers, and they have a lot of grooming needs. So you may be thinking that you're doing a great job for your customers by having them teach some dogs some common skills. Right? You're training customers, or as a vet, like, oh, okay, get them used to like some common skills that I think most people are pretty used to, like things like, get him massaging his feet. He needs to know that you can touch his toes, right? But very few people stop to question if those common skills are helpful during a grooming appointment. Are they helpful? Are massaging his feet, is that going to translate to what happens in a grooming appointment? So by understanding what happens to the dog during a grooming appointment, you can save your customers time, you can save yourself some time, you can save everybody some time by teaching some skills that apply more directly. So the trend right now to teach cooperative care behaviors is awesome. I mean, woohoo! Yay! That's great. I love it. The idea that we can teach, zoo animals to do this. And finally, people are like, oh, gosh, if they could teach it, a dolphin to do this. We could probably teach a dog to be good for blood drawing, right? I get it. That's awesome. Here is the thing, the big but, and you knew it was coming if you've been listening to my show, right? But some of these cooperative care behaviors don't work in a grooming setting. So many of them are working well for vet settings. And I used to be a vet tech, so I got to say, like, I'm coming from a vet tech point of view also. Some of these behaviors work really well in a veterinary setting, but they don't work well in a grooming session. And I'm here to tell you this idea that we're getting them ready for vet visits. Dog grooming is so much harder for a dog than their vet visit in general, like the average visit, right? I mean, sure, there's the exam, a blood draw, some vaccines. That's really not as hard as going into a grooming setting. So if we're teaching dogs to be good for the veterinary setting, that's good. That's going to help keep them healthy. But the average dog sees their vet, if they're healthy, once a year to twice a year, right? They don't see their vet every 4 to 6 weeks. And that's what we're recommending for most dogs for grooming. So they see their groomer more often, and grooming is harder. So if you are not a groomer, ta-da, I want you to think about that. Grooming is harder than vet visits? What? But vet visits hurt. I know vet visits can hurt. They don't always hurt. And that hurt is really pretty minimal. Grooming is harder for these dogs. So when we're teaching a dog to be good for an injection, right, that's a skill. It's an important skill, but it doesn't translate to the grooming process. Dogs are going to be groomed more often. So what makes grooming so different? So I just listed off a couple, right? And I think you have probably heard about like the 3 things, the 3 Ds of difficulty, right? First of all, there's duration. We hold that dog's focus for an hour or 2, sometimes 3. This isn't a 5-minute, exam. This isn't a 20-minute exam. This is an hour or 2. Right? How often have dogs ever had anybody had their hands on them for an hour or 2? So if we're going to help prepare a dog for something like the grooming process, this is something we need to think about. As groomers, we start that off when they're puppies by booking puppy appointments, or start them off as like a new rescue by booking appointments that are shorter, that we're not going to do everything. We're not going to throw everything at them all at once. But at home with our owners, yeah, we need to get them thinking that, oh, this is a duration. There's a lot of time spent. Now, the second one, distractions, right? Talk about a distracting environment. They're away from home and their owner, and now they're in a place with other dogs with lots of noises, lots of distractions, people moving around, phones are ringing. Even the calmest of grooming shops has some distractions. Even as a house call groomer, there are distractions because I have so many tools, and each of those is its own distraction, right? The clippers, the nail trimmers, each of my pairs of shears probably make a different sound to a dog's ears, right? The brushes, the clipper vac, right? So all of these things, wow, the amount of distractions before I even put it on the dog. Right? The distraction level is like, whoa, look at all the stuff, right? And they're on a table. Holy moly, right? So think about that. That's a lot. The third thing that we usually list off when we list off difficulty, like we list off duration, distraction, and the last one is distance. Okay, usually we're thinking about distance as a distraction when it's far, far away. Like when a dog is far, far away, it's harder to work with them harder. My coffee's still sinking in, guys. I'm sorry. But it's harder to get their attention when they're far, far away. Tell you what, the distance when we are so close and up in their faces, like we've got them on a table and we are literally touching them for an hour or 2. Like we are really, really close to them. We're touching them. We have 2 hands on them most of the time. 1 hand on a tool, right? We are so friggin' close. And not only that, but we're reaching over and under. We're moving them around. We're lifting up feet. We're placing objects on every inch of their body. Every little millimeter of that dog's body is going to be touched at least once or twice, probably more like 10 times. 10 times? What? Yeah, 10 times, right? We have water and then soap and water and conditioner and water and towel and dryer and comb and brush and nail trimmers. And, just think about how many times we touch a dog, right? Over and over and over again. And we're leaning over them. We're leaning under them. We're twisting up in front of them, which, okay, let's add that as a distraction level too. How often do dogs watch humans contort themselves in front of them? Right? I mean, the vet, maybe, but usually that's also a little bit more straightforward than like hanging upside down with a pair of shears and trying to see in between front legs and get that little bit under their chin. We're doing weird stuff. So what do we need in those places in grooming? What do we need? Well, we don't want rigid stillness. Okay, so when we talk about like nose and chin targeting, we want a dog that's relaxed and repositionable, right? Nose targeting and chin targeting are pretty common cooperative care behaviors. They are good for a very short duration, but they're really difficult to use in a grooming setting. And let me tell you why. Because I have sharp tools, and I don't want a dog enthusiastically shoving their nose or their chin into my hand because they thought it was a hand target. And I want to be able to move their head around, right? I don't want them to just hold still. I want them to be able to move their head around. And if you've taught them that pointing their nose and touching their nose to something means that means, okay, you may now proceed, human. Human, I am telling you that I am comfortable with this. That means that when their nose moves off of the target, that's saying that, okay, please stop. Who is going to see that dog move their nose from the target in a grooming shop? Right? We don't have 2 people to every dog. So if I'm doing a back foot and this dog is nose targeting, I don't know if he's indicating to me, please stop. So that doesn't work in a grooming setting. And it doesn't mean like, oh, we'll just have the owners come in or just have these other people come in. Sometimes that's not doable in a grooming setting because the legalities of having people who are not employees coming into the back in the shop. So we need to think about that too, right? So here's another one. We touch a dog's troubled areas. Right? We touch the trouble area, whatever that is. If that dog's not good with his tail, we have to touch that over and over and over. Again, water, soap, water, conditioner, water, squeeze, dryer, towels, brush, comb. Like we're maybe scissors, maybe clippers. Like we are touching that all over and we're lifting it and we're moving it. Whatever their troubled area is not going to be a matter of sitting on a sofa with a massage. Right? It's the way owners are learning to handle a troubled area doesn't translate to what work needs to be done. Right? So they're kind of at a step 1 in a process that should build up to grooming process. Right? So they're kind of just taking it at this very beginning, like, oh, look, we can touch your foot while we're on the sofa and you're really good, or touch your tail, but not bringing it further to something useful. To have your eye on the prize, to get ring savvy, right? To be thinking about like, oh, right, I need to build this skill beyond that. So what we're getting in grooming shops is a lot of dogs who have some really basic problems that are huge problems for grooming that owners are at home working on in ways that don't make sense for the grooming process or that aren't progressing at all. So I want you to think about what we really need in a grooming setting and actually what the vet needs too, because when dogs are better for their grooming, they are better for the vet. They are better for their owners, right? When they become comfortable with all of the things that a groomer does, right? That's a really rock steady dog. So if we get them used to being calm, comfortable, and cooperative, right? That like, okay, I can handle this. I can stand here. People are reaching around me. They're doing all their stuff, right? A dog who can handle some chaos, right? Like, okay, something just happened. A dog came in who's now barking like crazy, and this dog just rolls with it. The dog on the table just rolls with it. Like, wow, that setter is really going barky, isn't he? Like that's what we need. We need a dog who can handle some chaos. We need a dog who can be touched all over, everywhere, with stuff and things, which is the way I word it to owners. Like touching them with stuff. I don't care if it's a brush or a comb. If you're working on getting them touched with stuff and things, it can be anything on your coffee table. It could be the remote. It could be a coaster. It could be a box of Kleenexes. It could be whatever is there in front of you. Just start touching them with random stuff. Make him think it's normal that someone's going to pick up his back leg and run a whatever it is over his hock. Why not? Right? That's what we do in grooming. So that's kind of what we need to prepare for. And it will be useful for the vet. Don't worry. I have vets in mind when we're talking about this, right? And we also want them to be able to be reached over, reached under, repositioned, and worked on. So the posable action figure, right? I want to be able to hold this dog's head up and see if his ears are even. I want to be able to go behind him and still have his head up and facing straight and be behind him and see if his ears are even. Right? And I want to be able to lift his leg. I want to be able to hold him up and have him stand square for me so that I can check that everything's even. We don't need to have them stand square the whole time. It's awesome if they can, but a lot of dogs just, their body isn't designed for that. It's really rigorous for them, but they should have an ability to know how to be still. Have you ever thought about how we get those things even? And we need to be able to lift a front leg. We need to be able to lift a back leg. We need to be able to move their tails around. We need to be able to run something over their flank. Oh, that's a tickle spot, right? We're running stuff over their flank. That's a tickle spot. So when you know more about the grooming process, that's when you can understand more about the job that we need to do as trainers to help prepare dogs for grooming. Just like we prepare dogs for agility, and we prepare dogs for flyball, and we prepare dogs for obedience and rally, right? So if we think about grooming as another dog sport, that we're working toward a finished goal of a dog who can be on the table and do all of those things, and be in the tub and do all those things, and be picked up. That's why I forgot to even mention being picked up, or even just bum boosted up on a table, right? When we have a dog who can do all those things, then they're ring savvy, right? They're ready for the sport of grooming. Because if you were teaching something very, very basic, we start off with basics. But if you're teaching something very, very basic without ever thinking about, will this dog be able to do it in the setting that we're training for, right? If that dog cannot do flyball in a room with other dogs, that dog cannot compete in flyball. Right? And I'm using flyball as an example because I love flyball. My dogs do flyball, and flyball is chaos. You can teach a dog to control themselves in chaos, right? So learning about grooming will bring your training to a whole new level, If you'd like more information, you can find me at Chrissy@happycritters.net, happycrittersdogtraining.com, or you can join the Facebook group Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast or the Facebook page, Creating Great Grooming Dogs. I really look forward to hearing from you. If you're ready to go beyond the podcast, and I hope you do, I've made it really easy for you. If you go to creatinggreatgroomingdogs.com and click on your next step, you'll see all of the options. There's the Scholar Lounge community, there's the Modern Grooming Professional certification, there's Master Canine Stylist and Professional Canine Stylist diploma testings, there's the Behavior Lab for coaching and private one-on-one sessions with me, and of course, the Master Groomer Behavior Specialist program. So go to creatinggreatgroomingdogs.com and click on your next step.